I met your father at the very first job that I ever had after I graduated from high school in 1966. I graduated on Friday and actually started to work on Monday. I tried to find a receipt of the first paycheck that I ever made, and I couldn't find it, but I really think that I made about $35 a week. Woohoo, and I thought I was rolling in the dough. Your father was a summer intern for the company, and the office manager loved him. I mean, loved him, but your dad was a really good schmoozer. He tried to schmooze my mother, but she was a little too smart for him. But anyway, although she did love him. Eventually, we started talking and dating, and he really wanted to date my girlfriend, Jackie Smith, which you all have met before. The way that he knew about her is Jackie and I and a guy named John Gentry all went to high school together, but your father and John Gentry went to college together, and so they used to hang out after class. Well, they were in Tarpon one day, riding around, and your dad saw Jackie walking down the street and told John, wow, I'd really like to meet her and maybe date her, but John told him she already had a boyfriend, so I'm thinking I might have been second choice, not quite sure, but anyway, I won in the long run. So we dated for about 2 years, and we got married in 1968, and we were married until 1987. Your dad was in college at the time, going to school and working 2 jobs. He had a job at a gas station, and at the time gas was 19 cents a gallon. Wow, wouldn't we like to see those days again? And he worked for a gentleman that had this huge lot that your dad would mow, but he had to mow it on a tractor that it was so big, so that's what he did to make extra money for us. To back up a little bit, our very first date was on his motorcycle. He loved his motorcycle. And we went to the beach to fly a kite. Pretty romantic, huh? The only thing is he forgot to tell me how hot the exhaust pipe on a motorcycle got, and I burnt my leg that day, but we still had a really good time. Then here comes Leanne. Leanne was born in 1969. She was the sweetest baby. She was just so happy and so good. She slept all night long from the first night we brought her home, which is very unusual. She was very clean, which I'll explain later, just like she is now. But here's a picture of her when she was 2 weeks old. Look how tiny she was, because my hands were small and she was just tiny. You'll have to forgive me with the dates and the years of these. I might get them mixed up a little bit, but these are some of the memories that I have. With Leanne, when she was about 5 years old, she totally threw me under the bus with my mother and told my mother that I was a smoker. But she didn't stop there, as she said, and she smokes way too much. So my mother had no idea, but I've forgiven you, Leanne, and I'll still try to contact you in the hereafter. But another one of the sweet things that Leanne did for me is when she was working at the daycare center after school, after high school hours, she bought me a tennis bracelet. This is the tennis bracelet. And I know that she was probably making minimum wage, and it probably took her forever to pay this bracelet off, but it's precious to me. Memories, so many memories and stories to tell you, Leanne, about you, but the bottom line is you were a wonderful daughter and very, very supportive. Well, now here comes Sherry. Sherry's a different story. Sherry was born in 1975 and was totally different than you, Leanne. She was an active little thing, where Leanne would stay on a blanket literally for hours if I put toys on it for her and never get off. Sherry you would go on search and destroy missions, and so we could never leave you in a room by yourself alone for very long at all. You were really adventurous, and I think you probably still are. I know you have heard these stories before, but now, when I go to my mansion in the sky, I know you don't like to hear it, but that's where I hope I'm going, you will have my voice on tape, and you'll be able to always know what I sounded like and hear me telling these stories. The stories I'm going to tell about you, Sherry, I know you know which ones they are. We're going to tell the Woody story. Woody was married to my sister, Becky. And as you both well know, you spoke very well at a very young age. Well, we were visiting my sister Becky and Woody one day, and Sherry was around 2 years old. You were around 2 years old. You walked over to Woody and said, "Hey, Woody." And Woody said, "What, sweetie?" And you said, "Do you know you have an ugly face?" Oh, I was so embarrassed, and I asked you to please apologize. But you put your hands on your little hips and told me you couldn't because I always told you to tell the truth. Well, that's the Woody story. And the other story, of course, is the Red Lobster story. Your grandma, who we referred to as O1, loved Red Lobster, so we would always take her there for her birthday. Well, one year we took her and the lobby was full, so we were waiting on a table. You were probably maybe 10 or 11 years old when you walked over to the lobster tank and in a rather loud voice announced, "Would you look at the testicles on these lobsters?" Everyone in the lobby laughed. I think I turned beet red, but that's that story. But on a sweeter note, Sherry, the one thing that has been so precious to me is my mother Rebecca letter that you wrote to me. I still read it often because I have it hanging in my spare bedroom. Oh, Sherry, you always made life very, very interesting for sure. Leanne, you were always a little bit more reserved, or was it a little more sneaky? I'm not sure which one, but I'm teasing, honey. Your dad and I were both very, very, very proud of both of you. I know you probably didn't feel it sometimes, but we were. And we couldn't have asked for better daughters, ever. Now, my reward for being such a wonderful mother, my grandchildren, Taylor, Jack, and Kate. I'm so proud of all three of you. Taylor, my number one granddaughter, came out talking and is still talking. Jack, always the entertainer and so smart, still entertains us, and is my favorite grandson. And Kate, my second granddaughter, is a wonderful photographer, and also I know you're going to be a great journalist. I am so proud of the way you've all three grown up. I really, really am. Couldn't ask for better grandchildren. I really do, though, miss our Easter egg hunts and sleepovers. I guess we could still have those if we wanted to, but you're precious to me for sure. I'm not the best at sometimes verbalizing my feelings. What I want you to know is that having you, Leanne, and Sherry as my daughters has made my life much richer and much more fulfilling than any words could ever express. I love you with all my heart, and I hope that you feel the love that I have for you. You two are the most important people in my life. I know you'll miss me when I'm gone, but you will have this piece of me forever. You'll hear my voice, and so whenever you're missing me, you can play this and watch it. Just remember my voice and know that I'll always love you. Much love, Mom, and I love everyone in my family. I sure do. And P.S., this picture is how I want you to remember me. I think I'm a little buzzed. Really, I do.